You must run with speed so that you don't become angry when you are left behind.
The Bible didn't tell us to run the race with speed.
Noise is not the same as strength. Impact is proof of strength.
When you gather ministers of the gospel and you're telling them speed, 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 you are provoking in them an appetite that is ungodly. The Bible never asks us in ministry to run the race with speed.
If you are left behind while I am running, no be me do you.
I want you to notice all our achievement and fame and influence and giftings and money and everything. The one thing that God requires in the mix of all of this is whether you and I will be faithful. And I think the problem with us is we allow the achievement, the success, the gift, the talents, to determine how we relate to God and how we relate to our
strength. Is needed to move with speed, and you must run with speed so that you don't become history while you are alive.
Let us lay aside every weight and the sin which doth so easily beset us, and let us run with patience the race that is set before us. Next verse. Looking unto Jesus, the author and finisher of our faith, who for the joy that was set before him endured the cross, despising the shame, and is set down at the right hand of the throne of God. The Bible didn't tell us to run the race with speed. When you gather ministers of the gospel and you're telling them speed, 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 you are provoking in them an appetite that is ungodly. The Bible never asks us in ministry to run the race with speed, but the Bible tells us to run the race with patience. And did you observe also, Dr. Gabriel, Apostle Prince, that when Jesus was speaking about ministry both in the four gospels and in the epistles, there is no epistle teaching to ministers, whether it is the pastoral epistles of Titus or the pastoral epistles of 1st and 2nd Timothy or the meetings that happen in the book of Acts. There was never an instruction for ministers to succeed. There is never an instruction for you to succeed in ministry. What we have in the Bible is for you to be faithful, not to succeed, to be faithful.
I want you to notice that God has not called us to be successful. Neither has he called us to be powerful, or called us to be anointed, or called us to be achievers or very gifted people. I believe that God has called you and I to be faithful. To be faithful. That's it. Because you see, with success and all our achievement and fame and influence and giftings and money and everything, the one thing that God requires in the mix of all of this is whether you and I will be faithful to God's original intent. Because success, wealth, money, power, fame, influence, giftings, talents, they are all vehicles and tools and instruments given to you and I by God to fulfill a purpose. And I think the problem with us is we allow the achievement, the success, the gifts, the talents, to determine how we relate to God and how we relate to our fellow human beings.
He that is faithful in little will be a ruler over much. And on that day, he's going to say, well done, thou good and faithful, not thou good and successful, thou good and faithful servant, enter into the joy of your Lord. He's talking about the reward system of God is going to be predicated upon faithfulness. And somebody said, but Joshua was told he shall make his way prosperous and he shall have good success. Well, when he said to Joshua, you shall make your way prosperous, it is not English. When he said you will make your way prosperous and have good success, the original says you will be able to deal wisely in the affairs of life. You'll be able to deal wisely. He's not talking about success by secular definition. He's talking about faithfulness. He's talking about faithfulness. It is required in stewards that a man be found faithful. A man be found faithful. So God's desire for ministers of the gospel is to be faithful with what he has given them. Be faithful with the message and be faithful with the people that are around, that you have been able to evangelize, you have been able to bring in to disciple, be faithful in making sure you stay true to the fidelity of the message of the gospel. I just wanted to chip that in. So looking unto Jesus, the author and the finisher of faith, running the race with patience. We are not speeding to anywhere. We are not in a competition. Men of God, we are running the race of ministry with patience. And Brother Paul says, I put my body under. I do not fight as one who is fighting the air, but I put my body under, that after I have preached to others, I shall not be a castaway. Putting your body under means you are striving according to the rules. What rules? The rules of faithfulness. Faithfulness to the message, faithfulness to the assignment, and faithfulness in raising disciples. Discipleship is God's method of growing his church. Somebody say, well, but I have a big church. Well, you also forgot that cancer is a growth. Cancer is also a growth, and there can be mega cancer, there can be mega growth, but it is cancerous. So it is not growth or the indices of size that God will use in rewarding us. It is the indices of faithfulness. The indices of faithfulness.